All right, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on when you will observe this recording. Let's get straight into it. Today we're going to speak about the true meaning of liberation. Now, what promoted me to talk about this? Well, of course, for those who may not know, what's up back from hiatus? Liber, Liber, is an actual deity, for one. So let's lay that foundation. You have Liber, which is an Italian or Roman deity of fertility, masculinity, so on and so forth. Essentially, all of the attributes we assign Mars to if we're dealing with astrology. So, all of the attributes of Mars, you can say it comes from Liber. Now, Liber also has a counterpart called Liber. So, pretty much Liber, then just added a Libera, right? Libera. Liber, the symbolism that was used for his worship was a phallus. The symbol used for worship for Libera is yoni. It's a yoni phallus, yoni, y'all know what I'm speaking about, right? Over time, of course, we know that these things, what's up, Petunia? What's up, Loa X? Again, everybody. I appreciate everybody tuning in. We're not going to take up too much time. Just giving y'all this quick jewel, right? Nonetheless, Liber. The worship of Liber was exiled once mainstream religion came in, aka Christianity, right? So Christianity pretty much pushed out the paganism. So that included Liber and its counterpart, Libera, right? So whenever you see like these candles of dicks and pussies, if we want to use exotic terms here, that comes from Liber and Libera. That's their emblems or symbols because they were connected with the tantric arts. So now we have to go into Tantra or Tantra. I did many videos about that in the past, but just to quickly, just briefly, for those who may not know what that is, it's pretty much sexual alchemy, utilizing raw sexual force and transmuting this raw sexual force into spiritual energy. In other words, taking raw yang energy and transmuting or transferring it into the yin energy. In other words, taking masculine energy, liber, and transmuting liber to libera, taking the phallus and putting it inside of the yoni, creating the tantric experience. Spirituality from sexuality. We know sexuality can be very cardinal and primitive. However, the same raw, untamed energy can give you the gateway or the keys or the code to get exactly where you need to be. This is why in society, we have all these hangups about sexual energy, sexual intercourse, sexual relationships, sexual partners. Anything associated with sex is really, it's not even something that most people are comfortable speaking about outside of their own homes. Like, it's still a taboo nature to just expressing yourself fully sexually. That's still something you apparently shouldn't do. You need to do it according to these religious guidelines, right? So we know that now religion is being broken down to its basic particles, and we have alternative information to level us so that we don't have to rely on what someone else said or what a system of people said. We can just go back and study and observe history and see, well, what was actually going on prior to religion. Because if we study what was going on prior to religion, paganism, demonic worship, Satanism, all this dark stuff, voodoo, all these things that tend to be labeled as dark, demonic, satanic, black magic, all this stuff that you should stay away from is actually the original culture of the planet. Why? Because those sciences are sciences of war. If we're speaking about voodoo, it is the science of war, whether it's war in relationships or a war on the actual battlefield. So when we're dealing with voodoo, aka black magic, or however you want to label it, because again, voodoo is like more from Haiti. Voodoo is the American version, right? So before it was voodoo, it was voodoo, where it comes from Haiti, right? What's up, Queen of Success? So just letting it be known, all of this dark energy that I've been speaking about for years now, all this has an origin. This was the original culture of the planet before religion came in and told everybody stop fucking, put on condoms, do this, try to put everything in parameters so that they can stay in control of the energy. Why? Because if you tell people one man, one woman, or however you choose to set up the board, this controls the amount of sexual energy being produced from the people. Why? Because if you do anything outside of these parameters, your ass is going to hell. You're going to lose your blessings, right? There's a fear placed into the hearts of men and women that stops them from truly being themselves, because this filter, as they in their mind see as a constriction or a restraint. Okay, I'm restraining myself because that's what disciplined people do. They don't go off of their lustful instincts. They actually know how to transmute the energy. That's the philosophy that they have, which makes sense to me. However, when we deal with the arts of sexuality, you know that sex and healing are one and the same. Sexual healing, they go together. So there is no way that the sexual act or anything sexually based can harm you unless your body is already out of equilibrium. So even as, let's just say you dealt with a person who may not be physically on point, whatever, they may have some type of malfunction going on within them, that doesn't mean that it's going to equate to you. If you keep your point, if you keep yourself and your body on point, it doesn't transfer to you. Why? Because that's not how disease works. For those who don't know, it's all about mucus. Keep mucus out of your body, then you really don't have to deal with disease. All disease comes from mucus. Mucus comes from, of course, the diets that we engage in, the lifestyles that we live. There are ways to dissolve the mucus from within your body, which I speak about with the urine therapy. There's other methods for people who want to do it differently. Whichever method you choose to utilize, just know that there is nothing that can happen to your body that there is not an antidote for. So even if, again, I'm not saying go out there and be crazy. I'm just saying in terms of the mentality and the thinking behind what you are doing or what people do, sex and sexuality is the foundations of life. None of us would be here if two people didn't lay on the bed or lay on the couch, lay on the ground, and engage in that spiritual healing, that spiritual work. That's why we're all here. We know that the world, what's up 305 Capricorn? We know that the world is sexually based. We can't separate ourselves from that. And the only reason we try to separate ourselves from that is because of these religions, organizations that are placed before us that's telling us otherwise. It's telling us to ignore our culture before they came in and like as if they know what they're doing, as if they have more knowledge than those who predate them. The whole philosophy and the thinking behind taking away someone's culture and replacing it with another because it's better because you said so and I have no say about it doesn't make any sense to me. Versus when I study and I do my own history all over the world and I see people all over the world engaging in the tantric acts, whether it's voodoo and the openness of the sexuality there, or you take it all the way to the Far East. You see people engaging in the same thing in their own way. So whether you want to call it sexual healing, you want to call it sex, you want to call it Tantra, regardless of what you want to call it, these arts are ancient. They come from before we can even imagine. Who knows how old this earth is? We can throw out numbers. Who knows how old the universe is? Of course, people can throw out numbers, Big Bang Theory. Now they're saying that there's been multiple Big Bangs instead of this one centralized Big Bang Theory that we've been taught our whole lives. Now scientists are saying that it has been a multitude of Big Bang Theories, and actually there is no beginning to the universe. It's just a process of Big Bangs, Big Bang, and it causes like this is just the nature of the universe versus the creation of the universe. So what we used to think was the creation of the universe, now it's just a phase of the universe. And now that it's just a phase of the universe, now we have to reconsider our whole thinking, which leads to why we're at this place where is a earth flat or is it round? Because we know that prior to NASA in the 60s, prior to that, people were thinking that the earth was flat. People didn't realize or come to the realization that the earth was round until NASA came along in the 60s and made it so that now in every classroom you see a globe. That's all the workings of NASA. Prior to NASA, you didn't have anything telling you that the earth was round, so of course people thought it was flat. Now, who's to say who's right, who's wrong? There's nobody up there looking down at the earth. We can say it's satellites there, but we know that that's all CGI. Again, I know this video has nothing to do with what I'm speaking about, but this is just information that needs to be known so that you can properly place yourself in a situation you need to be in and not be distracted by all this with all of this madness, because it causes confusion. So if you are unsure about where to go or what to do, it weakens your magic. Your magic must be the most potent you can make it, which is why I'm speaking about Liber. You need to make your magic more potent. You want more energy. You want more virility. You want more of the masculine energy. You work with Liber. You want more of the yin, more of the feminine energy, more of the sexual, feminine sexuality. Work with Libera, right? So you got the masculine and you got the feminine. These are ancient deities, ancient spirits, pre-religion, pagan deities, when shit was wild. I don't really want to say wild, because even if you study the rituals of Liber and Libera, like people will offer phalluses. Again, I spoke about this in the beginning of the video, to Liber, and yonis to Libera. So it was not unusual to see, let's just say a major city that everyone knows, Los Angeles, right? Whatever, or New York, the most popular streets, whatever. Just imagine you see a big ass dick or a pussy on the top of someone's car, and it's a symbol for Liber. Like, this is just their way of worship. Somebody just keeps a dick on their car, keeps a pussy on the top of their car, or wears it on their shirt or whatever. This is their form of worship. Why? Because this is their religion. We're free to practice whatever religion we want. But if a person came out and started to do that, we know that they will be met with resistance. They would not be able to do that without resistance, even though we say that this is a free country, you can do whatever you want. But let motherfuckers start wearing dicks around their neck as chains and pussies around their neck as chains. Why? You can express yourself however you want, but no, you're going to be met with resistance. Anytime you tap into the sexual arts, you will be met with resistance. Why? Not that you're wrong, not that you're looking at the ancient history. You're looking at what people were doing before religion, so you're looking at, okay, well, it can't be wrong. Well, if it was wrong, then what are these people doing? Why is there a whole science dedicated to something that shouldn't be going on, right? So again, I see everybody coming in. Appreciate it. So again, I'm not going to take up too much time. I'm just giving y'all as much information in a condensed format. You know what I mean? No more hours and all that. We ain't doing all that. We putting it in, condensing it. You get what you need, and you keep it moving. So do not ignore your sexuality. Do not ignore your Liber. Do not ignore your Libera. Yes, piece Libera and Liber together. The divine masculine, the divine feminine. To be a full androgynous being. To embody masculinity, but not overwhelming. To embody feminine energy, but not overwhelming. To have that perfect balance between the both. Which is why most deities always have a counter or a consort. Some type of opposite deity, right? It's always the masculine and the feminine. You see that in ancient culture. It was always balanced. It's only modern times what we're talking about. It's a man, it's a spirit, and it's a father. Okay, well, where is the woman? The woman was completely removed. So how do you have a man, a father, a spirit, and no woman? However, people believe this stuff, and I'm not here to challenge the belief of anybody. However you believe it, is however you believe it. Whatever you believe is your choice. I am here to present an alternative view for those of us who understand it's more to the world than what we have been told and exposed to, especially when we start to study the entirety of the world and the cultures around the entirety of the world, if that even makes sense. We understand that everybody does things in their own way, but it's all the same root. So whether you're calling it voodoo or you're calling it Tantra, the whole purpose is still for sexual healing. So when you remove sexual healing from your life because you're trying to be normal, accepted, you know, being with a sexual partner who don't even understand the arts of sex. So how are you supposed to get fully satisfied with a person who is still uncomfortable with sex because there was really no one around to really put them up on game? I spoke about this years ago. You know, when I had my shirt off and all that, I'm like, yo, the only way we even know anything about sex was because of porn. Yeah, the video I did, how porn leads to enlightenment, is still a classic. This is basically where I'm getting at. Pornography exists because this is ancient culture. So all that demonic, dark, freaky, what is it, BDSM shit you be seeing on these pornos, because I know you watch it, who doesn't? I'm not saying that it has to be every day, all day. However, when you see all this demonic shit or this whatever, call it whatever you want, this is the modern version of ancient religions and ancient traditions, right? So that's what it is. So, regardless of how I feel about it, because this is not my opinion, this is not my emotion, I'm just speaking facts. This is what actually has happened, this is what has occurred, this is what's going on right now. This is actually the key to all success. The key to all success. Why? Because sex, money, and women have an association. It's all feminine energy. So if we understand, we just now end here, right? I'll end here. If we understand that sexuality is the key to life, meaning if you need to be healed, you can do it through sex. If you need to astral travel, you can do it through sex. Anything you need to do concerning spirituality can be done with sex as a vehicle. Sex can be used to generate the energy you need to penetrate through those veils that's so hard to penetrate through. Why? Because we have been taught how to do this shit without the sex, or like to meditate without the drugs. Like we don't see psychedelic drugs everywhere, but the ancient people didn't use it. So you telling me they were just sitting around meditating, not high? But mushrooms grow right outside of come on now. When we put two and two together, we know what was going on. That is the reason why magic mushrooms exist, DMT and all that. We know that people have been engaging in these arts since the beginning of time. We already know it, right? So, yes, sex and sensuality is fundamental, because once you remove that, you just have a bunch of people who, you know, it just becomes some weirdo shit. It just becomes weirdo. Like, oh, it ain't nobody fucking. I know it sounds primitive, but it is what it is, right? Where would you rather be? In a group where people was fucking or the people not fucking? The choice is yours, right? So nonetheless, utilize your sexuality. So even if it's a vehicle for you to generate energy to do some other shit, you can still utilize sex as a vehicle to do other things. It doesn't have to end in the bedroom. It can begin in the bedroom and end up in astrals. End up in a bed, or start in a bedroom and end up in a different dimension. It all depends on how you choose to utilize your energy. But no, so if you are ever lacking energy, you know how to generate the energy and transmute the energy. Now, somebody talking about the non-ejaculatory sex. I'm speaking about sex in general. Whether you choose to release your semen or not is your choice, right? Because I guess if you want to talk about that, I'll give y'all 20 minutes. We'll just make this the last thing. When it comes to releasing your seed as men, because we know as men, you know, when you release a seed, you get weak, you have to recover. You know, women can go all day, or so they say, right? We know that, okay, but we know the truth is it's only so much pressure a woman can take. You know what I mean? Like going 3, 4, 5 hours, getting constantly penetrated. You may have a hole that it can take, but you know, it's only so much you can take. Even as a woman, it's only so much you can take. You got to get some rest at some point, right? We all have our limits. So when it comes to releasing your semen or holding your semen, because the theory is, and I call it a theory, the theory is if you hold your semen as a man, you become more masculine. It actually builds up your energy. So that's why people have this thing like the no flap and all these things of hold your semen, hold your power. If you giving your power away to women, you're weakening yourself. That's the whole philosophy behind that. Hold your power. Don't release your power. Don't give your power away. Hold it, build it, let it build up within you, instead of giving it to a woman or putting it on her face or putting it on her body. Like, no, you need to keep it within. However, people who say that just does not understand how the body works. If the body generates semen, how can you run out? Let's just use common sense. If the body generates semen, we are made as men, we are created with two sets of nuts to utilize them. You don't have a set of balls for no reason. So either you can use it to procreate or to create magical children. I guess that's a little bit more demonic. For those, again, just check out the website. But anyway, you have two reasons. You can make physical kids or you can make spiritual kids. Period. So if you're not trying to make physical kids, you can make spiritual kids. Why? Because semen is blood. And you know how important blood is to ritual magic and as offerings. So semen can be used as an offering. Why? Because it's blood. So it's blood magic. So if you want to keep it within you, no problem with that. But just know that it has a magical use as well. So even if you're just fucking blowing off on your woman's face, I guarantee it will be smooth. Why? Because we know that semen, sperm, call it what you want. It's neutralizing. Not neutralizing, but neutralizing in the sense where it destroys all of the bacteria on your face. It's the same thing with urine therapy. Most people still think urine is dirty because they don't understand how the body works. So no matter how much I speak about it or anybody else speaks about it, I can say it all day. But if a person's mind has not like, yo, I'm not doing that. I don't give a fuck what the facts say. Okay, urine is sterile when it comes out of your body, aka it's alkaline. So every time you urinate, it's alkaline water because the body is designed to make it that way. However, you still got people thinking like, oh, there's dirtiness. Or you urinate because you're getting something out of your body that doesn't need to be there. On the opposite, you're urinating because you don't need it right now. It's not that it's not supposed to be there. It's just extra water that you don't need. So if you were to re-ingest it, then it starts to healing you from within. Right? So if your urine is clear, you shouldn't have a problem drinking it. Well, you can say that to people all day, but you still got to get over the fact that you're drinking your own urine. That is the biggest factor. It's not the smell, it's not the taste, because that can be altered. As those who know, right, you just drink more water, you can clear up the smell and the taste. So much so that it has no smell, no taste. It's like you're drinking warm water or salt water. It's not a big deal at all. But if a person still mentally thinks that this is stuff that does not need to go back in your body, then they're not going to do it, regardless of how much sense it makes. So we know that people are emotional. People are not as logical or factual as we may think they are, because we know you can present people with facts all day. Y'all know on this channel, all I do is present facts. However, that doesn't mean that people are going to utilize facts. Why? Because people are more emotional. They're going based off of how they feel versus, okay, well, it's not about whether it's real or fake. It's about how I feel about it, which is fine because we all have the ability to be subjective. However, at some point, we have to utilize the science and the mathematics presented before us so that we can elevate ourselves. So either you follow nature or you follow man. If nature is the ultimate teacher, then there's no need to follow man, because before we were following men, we were following nature. So the followers of nature, the natural sciences, the natural magic, that has always been a part of the occult science, natural magic, that's always been there. Creating the energy grids has always been there. However, we can pretend like it wasn't, but it actually was. All right. You should see the look on my face about the urine therapy. Again, well, what's up, teenager? It is what it is. Because again, I'm not here to make it make sense. You got to try it for yourself. And yes, there is I don't know, what do they call it? There's a thing you have to make your mind click to make it work, right? You got to make your mind click. Yes, because if you looking at this cup of this yellow ass urine and you're like, yo, I'm about to drink this. Your mind is like, yo, what are you doing? What are you doing, right? Exactly. It's not for everybody. It's just for those who can appreciate the benefits. Because if it doesn't benefit you, then don't do it. But anybody who has done it, Then say, oh, I didn't receive any benefit. You can put urine on, you can get some urine right now, put your hands in it. Put some, urinate right now. I'm not saying whatever. You urinate in a jar. Male or female, put your fucking hand in it, submerge your hand in it, splash it all over your face. Why? Because urine therapy can be used internally and externally. So you can use it on your skin as well as it's safe to put in your body as well as on your body. All right? Anybody can do this right now. Splash it all over your face and tell me if your face doesn't soften up. If it's dirty, if it's dangerous, your face should get crazy. But it doesn't, it gets softer. Right? So, again, don't take my word for anything. Do your own tests, trials, tribulations, experiments. Right? So, yeah, we have all been brainwashed to a certain degree, but that's why we do dark work. That's why we work with our subconscious. We have all been programmed. Even if you are the best parents, they may not have had everything figured out. So we all have to remove some aspects within our subconscious, no matter who we are. That's why we engage in alchemy. That's why we engage in these arts, to remove the things in our subconscious that we didn't really have any control of. Your kids, you have any control over it. So everything that's in your subconscious is not useful. So the things that are not useful, they need to be transmuted. It needs to be transformed into a different type of energy or density. We know that everything is light, everything is energy. It's just a variation of density. So, light and matter is the same thing. The only difference is its level of density. Same thing with sex. You can be having sex with a very dense person or a very light person. You can be that light person or that dense person. It's the same thing. It's just different variations of light or energy or chi or vril. Call it what you may. So we're going to keep it there. Peace.